I have, again, been without internet for almost 2.5 days now. Get a windstorm or a little rain in Las Vegas and it shuts everything down. Sun's finally out, rain's gone, and I am back up and running. Been going through emails, links, and comments. And I have a few subs down here in Venezuela that I have not heard from in quite a while. I've dropped some emails, no responses. I'm assuming their communications are cut, and probably have been for a while. Other comments I'm getting, yes, I made the videos about this 2, maybe 3 years ago. I started talking about Venezuela, South America, and specifically 2 cities, which are Caracas and Peru. And I don't care what the TV says. I've been telling you the power is going to come from South America, and it's going to be tangled up in those 2 cities, and I've told you why. It's in the script. Let's do this again. I'm going to teach you people to really read before it's all over with. Peru is the house of Thalum, period. Per is from the Egyptian. It means, it's the same as the TH, or Saturn. It's house. In the Arabic, Hebrew, it's Ba, house. Bu, land. So when you add the U, it is not just house, it's the land. And then Lima is the, so we're looking at Thalima. See it again? Thalum, Thalum. That's Thalum. Now, for Caracas, there are no C's. There are no X's. There's no such thing as a C or an X. It's K-R-K. It's the crux. The crux is the cross. Anytime it's the church, there's no, the only C that can represent is CH. That's the only time C makes its own sound. And it says ch. But that's 3 and 8, which is 11, equal to the K. 11, same thing. 11, 11, you're the cross. You are the cross. It's the crux. Caracas is a crux. It's a cross. It's a church. It's the church. So you have the house of Thalum, which is Lima, Peru. You have Caracas, the crux, the church. So you have the house of the master, the house of the lamb, and you have the church, which is the flock. Okay? The church is the flock. Now, let me pause here. Okay. I seem to be lagging here. And y'all have to excuse the noise, but it has been pouring here. I was without power for over a day and lost everything in my refrigerator. Water come under the door, and the kids have all been, they're all outside now, and the playground is still flooded, so they're out here in front of me. Just bear with me. I'm taking on as much extra work as I can right now, trying to Fomaha. This is going to represent, well, back up. Aquarius is South America, Capricorn is North America. Fomaha, Thalum is going to represent Lima, Peru. This is Caracas. And it's upside down. You need to understand how everything is mirrored. So when we look at a map, we think of Caracas at the top of South America, and Peru is more towards the south, but coastal. I want to go to the Egyptian, because this is going to show us where the flock is in the age of Aquarius. Sheep, sheepfold. And this is Caracas, Actually, it's going to probably be this star or this one. One of these two stars will be Caracas, the brighter one probably, and this one another city in South America. This one being Thalum in Fomalhaut. If we come back to the age of Aries and Pisces, the sheepfold is always here in the head of the beast, or Leviathan. In the age of Taurus, the flock, or the church, the Caracas, it was in Egypt. So it moved from Egypt into the church. And it's spread over 2 ages in the pews. It's the people in the pews. Not the clergy, the people in the pews, the souls, and then they land here. So they moved from the cattle to the beast that comes up out of the sea, and then we become winged. We move into an air sign. Let's do it in the Arabic. It's different in the Arabic. You get most of the images we have come from this ancient tradition. It's the shining. So yes, wow, it's the shining. Caracas is the shining in the Arabic. In the Western tradition, it is going to be, okay, my dog's fixing to completely go off. She has had enough of the kids. It is Al-Nair. Al-Nair. So, Deneb Al-Nair is the other star there. But this is going to be Caracas for you. How do I know this? I've done my homework. It's in the script. It's all in the language. It's linguistic. It's linguistic. Greek is reversed Arabic. Arabic is the older tradition. There's a statement made in Genesis that when Adam and Eve are thrown out of the garden, there are 2 angels with flaming swords. Let me take you back. Boy, it's getting loud out there. They're having a good time. I hope they don't start fighting. Okay, let me blank my mind here. First, let me make sure my screen is up. I don't appear to be up here. I don't know what's going on. Okay, I'm rolling. Okay, we have 2 angels with flaming. So that's fire. They have 2 flaming swords, which are words. What blocks you from getting in the Garden of Eden, which is the celestial, is Arabic or Aramaic. And Sanskrit languages. Then you have Aramaic comes from the Sanskrit, but you start with the Sanskrit. It's the old tongue, and it moves to Aramaic through Farsi and Urdu, which they're almost a blend of Aramaic and Sanskrit. Sanskrit went Urdu, Farsi, Aramaic, or Urdu, Sanskrit, Urdu, Aramaic, Farsi. Farsi being more of a Persian, Urdu being more Pakistani, Afghanistan, Aramaic being the ancient tongue. But it's through these are variables, like we would say, you have Latin, and from Latin we get Spanish, we get Portuguese, we get Esperanto, we get a lot of that flavored tongue. But then again, Spanish, Latin, and Esperanto from the Greek have a very Arabic flavor to them. A lot of words in the Spanish and the Arabic are the same. Simple words, basic root words like cat, gato, it's the same. And calles, streets, sierra, car, benzene, fuel. There are so many words that are the same between the two tongues. I have at least, I can't even count how many languages I know parts of right now. Celestial relates to Oriental, which is the Orient. We called them Celestials for a long time. This Chinese, you get the Chi and then the Ni. It's the spirit. Actually, they labeled it the spirit of the earth, and it is, but it isn't. It's the spirit of the air. It was one of the old air. There is discrepancy. Many say Buddha started in India and moved north into the Orient. And then the Orient tells it the other way. It started in the Orient and moved into India. Regardless, it makes no difference. Because when an air age comes in, it's going to consume the whole planet. When an earth age comes in, it's going to consume the whole planet. When a fire age comes in, that symbolism is going to grow worldwide before it's destroyed. All knowledge, before Babylon, all people had one tongue and one knowledge. And we had one language, but it wasn't alphabets, it was glyphs. Everybody read pictoglyphs, hieroglyphs, whatever you want to call them. And it makes words. In the Arabic, the word from the Greek is logo. That's LG. Let's flip it, take away the vowels and flip it. Now we have the glyph. GLYPH. They put the PH there. Y the PH. But that's where we get glyph from. And glyphs make words. And that's why that is that way. Alchemy teaches you to do this. There's sets of rules and standards that you must follow in alchemy. Unfortunately, there's not a book. This is oral tradition. Let me see if I can get away with this. I'm going to try. This is a scene from Lodge 49, episode 5, called Paradise. This guy is Lodge 49's resident alchemist, apothecary, and he's fixing to do a speech. I'm not going to do the audio because they'll pick right up on that. So I have put the subtitles down there. We're just going to read it. So let's go. And we'll just walk you through it. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Welcome to Lodge 49. Remember, 49 is 7 by 7. The next year it would be.
I don't do a lot of public speaking.
Jubilee. But I think I'm supposed to picture all you naked. He's nervous about public speaking. I'd like to start with a quote from the Rosary of the Philosophers, the Philosophorum Rosarium. Wherever we speak openly, we actually say nothing. But where we have written something in code and in pictures, we have concealed the truth. And let's do that again.
But
we'll read it one more time.
Picture you all naked.
again, the Rosary of the Philosophers is the Rosarium Philosophorium. I will leave a link for this book that he's reading from, but an older translation for you in the description box below.
I'd like to start with
It's a quote
from the Rosary of the Philosophers.
Where we have spoken openly, and that's media, TV, YouTube.
Wherever we have spoken openly,
We have said nothing. And that's the truth of it. It's all a lie. They do not reveal any truth openly. It's all
we have actually
encoded.
said nothing.
But where we have written something in code and in pictures,
But where
it's
we have
all
written
about the
something
pictures.
in code and in
That's
pictures,
when I woke up to it. We have concealed the truth. To me, the pictures is what really opened my eyes more than the languages. When I learned it was in art and I started learning the symbolism, the first art I started going through was in Catholicism. And all the art in Catholicism speaks of astrology. 100%. It's all astrological symbolism written in glyphs. All of it. So then I backed up and punted, and I started going into hieroglyphs, petroglyphs, and a lot of the Sumerian work, and about the Anunnaki. And it became clear then. The Anunnaki are just Europeans. They're people who worship Jupiter. All Jupiter worship is with fire and water, and that's all Europe and the Middle East. In Asia, rather. Fire worship began in Asia. No, it began in Europe and then moved to Asia. And ironically, water began in Asia and moved to Europe. They swapped places after the flood. Before the flood, Jupiter ruled fire, Mars ruled water. But they swapped places. That's very important to understand. Venus ruled heaven, and then she ruled earth. Baby Mercury, let me just take you back before y'all start getting confused. I think when I said baby Mercury, that triggered me that I better say something here. Jupiter ruling fire, Sagittarius. Mars ruling water in Scorpio. Venus ruling air and Libra. Mercury ruling earth. I call him baby Mercury because that's the iconography we've been given. This is the woman who brought forth the man-child who was to rule all the earth, but he was caught up into heaven. Gemini moves from earth to air. Mercury, earth to air. Just like Venus went from air to earth, Jupiter goes from water to fire. Whatever they were before Cancer, before the flood, they swapped. Everybody did. But Saturn. Even the sun and the moon. The power before then was with the sun. Now the power is with the moon. Through all of these ages, it's been about lunar astrology. We are just now coming back into Aquarius, and we're going to move back into solar astrology. It will be pure sun worship. We'll have a real sun king. I know all of this freaks all of y'all out, and y'all don't like the terminology, but that's what's going down. That's what it's about. That's why they're fighting for the order. That's why the battle is here. That's why the battle is in Caracas. The powers, they've got everybody looking at Jerusalem, Rome, Moscow, DC, New York in the UN, Korea. Everybody's looking everywhere. We get very little news from what's really been going on down there. It's just part of the script. That's where the intense battle's going to be, because that's where the next source of power is South America. That's why the Nazis went down there. You have a lot of Jews in South America. The Vatican has moved its entire library down there. They finished about 5 years ago. They started over a decade ago, moving everything down there. All the world leaders have bought up rainforest all through Patagonia. The Windsor family has put a bronze statue of Prince Charles in the middle of the damn rainforest, to be found a few thousand years from now, I guess they hope. Unfortunately, their storyline's not going to work out. They have been manipulating the script far too long. The veil comes off in this age of Aquarius that we're entering, and they can no longer hide. They can't hide behind the lies anymore. They're going to be trying to hide themselves in the rocks and the mountains, is what they're going to attempt to do. Right now, they just put puppets out front. We don't see them or they. We only see the puppets. We don't see Geppetto. Only Pinocchio that tells the lies, right? We don't see Geppetto behind the scene. But everything's in a bit of an uproar right now, and will continue to be. This whole mess is only going to escalate. It's only going to escalate as we're between ages. You know, it's a funny symbolism. Let me see if I can get this up here. It ain't going to let me. It's messing with me again, not letting me turn it on. So I had to turn it off to draw this so I can turn it back on, and it'll work. But we're between ages. Remember, they've squared the circle. You can look at the zodiac, at the houses as a bunch of circles. But when two come together, when you're in this age, this is the age we're in, between two ages. So we have some Pisces and some Aquarius. We have pure Pisceans, pure Aquarians, and then what I call hybrids of the two ages. And all of this mess. And water and air don't really mix. Here's the thing about air people don't get. Water and fire both depend on air. Water is H2O. It has an oxygen atom in it. It has hydrogen and oxygen in it. So it has an air quality. Fire also cannot exist without air. Air fuels the fire. So they have to have some source of air to even exist. Adam was just matter. He was just dirt until he had air and became the living soul. The word air is the same word in the Greek as spirit, breath of life, all of that that's breathed into Adam. Same word. Your soul or your spirit is the same word. So all of it depends on spirit or air. Everything. It is the life. It is that. We think of air as just the air you breathe, but it's so much more than that. You can't see the wind. That word air is also related to the Holy Spirit. The wind bloweth where it will. The Spirit does what the Spirit wants to do, just like the flesh does. The flesh demands what it's hungry, it's thirsty, it's sleepy, it's hurting. It's very demanding. And we have to cater to it. And it more tells us what to do instead of us telling it what to do. And that same mannerism is found with the Spirit. The Spirit does what it wants to do. It blows where it wills. So this all going on, don't worry about it. There's nothing we can do about it. There's no reason to be afraid of it. It's just the storyline. It's the script playing out. And it'll play out with or without us. The observer affects the experiment. I don't really keep up with it. I kind of already know the end of the book, the outcome, what's going to happen. So the storyline is kind of boring to me. About all the wars, what's going on, who's pushing whose button, this and that. I see the script in a completely different way. Like, let's see if I can get this to work for me. Okay, I had to turn that off. Like knowing where each of these constellations represent themselves on the earth. Now, like I said, before the flood in the age of Cancer, everything was flipped. So that leaves room for assumption. But because everything is reversed and flipped, our assumptions can hold a lot of weight or water. Just like Mercury is the son that's promised, and he's drawn up into heaven for a time and half a time from the face of the beast or religion, because he's Hermetics. But the beast comes back, and everybody, most of the Christians, religious factions on my channel, I've got a lot of you, and y'all get really upset at me. Y'all are constantly I get cast into hell on a daily basis by some evangelical who tells me they've read the book. That's what they tell me. I've read the book, and you're blaspheming, and you're going to hell. I doubt they even know what the word blaspheme means. And anybody can read a book. Pretty much anybody. A 5th grader can read it. But to understand it is something completely different. The book was given to us openly. It was, in the beginning, it was called, in the Catholic Church, before Protestants, the people didn't get the book. It was written in Latin, and they weren't allowed to read it or touch it. The people in the pews, the laymen, were uneducated, ignorant. So along comes Martin Luther and a few others, and they open the door, and so King James runs out and authorizes a version, authorized translation for the lay people. I'm sure that he's kept his encoded Latin version, but you were given a frickin' fairy tale, because that they gave you that book openly. And what did the Lodge 49 just say? We say nothing openly. If we've said it openly, we've said nothing. But everything is hidden in code, which is an alchemical translation, and in pictography or symbolism, pictures. So that's why you need to learn alchemy. Then you get to read a story that few will ever get to read. You get to see history in a way few have ever heard it told. You get to see the present for what it truly is. And you can even know the end of the book, the outcome, what's coming in the story. I see them warring against it. Understand that this beast religion, the sheep are in the sheepfold is the head. It's not even the clergy. The clergy is over here. It's got the leash. It's got the chokehold on the beast. But what drives it is the people in the pews. It's the collective agreement that they made. And this is all religions. I don't care which one. This is a warship. A warship. And it's all from the Abrahamic covenants. They broke their covenant. Remember that. They broke the covenant. To break their covenant with their God means they entered into a covenant with a different God. They were given truth. They were given the God of Saturn, but through the Babylonian mixing and telling you there's one God and one devil or one Satan, and that's just freaking baloney. Bologna. Guess where that comes from? Phony baloney. Phoenician Bologna. There, it's in the words. If I could get everybody to learn to read, to take no oaths, throw away your vowels, throw away your double consonants, and learn the symbolism that goes with each symbol we call a letter, and the power that's behind it and who it's attributed to. And then, once we understand all that, the next step is learning to use it. And that part is when you take up your cross and follow him. But this is the sheepfold in the next age, and we get wings. We move into an air sign, so we get wings. And we get our memory back. Above, Pegasus represents our memory. That's returned to us. The woman becomes unchained. Everybody leaves religion. Everybody. And they move into alchemy and astrology. Karma, which is the law of equivalent exchange. You reap what you sow. But what's going on here right now, and especially in South America, it's gotta happen. It's going to happen. Europe will be destroyed. Most of its knowledge will go. It has to. Just like Cairo was destroyed. Cairo represents Taurus. Jerusalem represents Aries. Rome represents Pisces in Europe. And Peru will represent Fomalhaut and the age of Aquarius. And the church, the Caracas, it will be Venezuela. And that's all I have to say about it, really. I'm not concerned. Yes, people are going to die. We all do. It's the one of the few things we all have in common. It's that we are born, we breathe, we cry, we die. That's why we should try to make as much joy in the place while we're here. That's why we should become the kindness. That's what you're going to want in Aquarius. Things are never going to be one sows, another tends, and a third reaps. You will sow, tend, and reap your very own crop. Everybody will become self-sufficient because everybody will have a purpose. We always did. It's just been hidden from us. It's been kept from us. But you can know your purpose if you're willing to take up your cross and follow the Master. Fomalhaut, Thalum, the guiding light for the age of Aquarius that we will all enter at one point or another within the next 2 ages, unless you can learn to not recycle and get out of here. To me, I actually want to be here during the age of Aquarius. This is where everybody wants to be. It's the golden age because we know. It's the age of knowing. It's beyond just understanding a thing. It's knowing a thing. And we get to know anything and everything. Nothing will be kept from anybody. And you, just like now, it's beginning now. For thousands and thousands of years, most people, except for the elite, were not allowed to read, write. It was forbidden. Not anymore. The woman has been utterly chained. Andromeda, representing the chained woman through the ages of Aries and Pisces. This is, again, religion. They chained her. The church has always been referred to as her. The power is hers. Remember? KRK. Caracas. The church. It's the 11-19, which 9 and 1 make 1, so it's the 11-1-11. But why the R? Remember the power. when the power of a sign is always in the center decan. Let's do it this way. Aquarius is masculine. Its color is red. And it has 3 decans. It's masculine in the center. So its 3 decans are going to be negative, positive, negative. This one's feminine, so it's going to be yin yang, right? Everything is yin yang. Let me see if I can. Okay. Pisces is a feminine age, so it's feminine in the middle. Remember the yin yang, it's feminine in the middle. So the middle decan is feminine, but the 2 outer decans are patriarchal. Aquarius is masculine, but its 2 outer are feminine. So to make power, you have to have a positive and a negative. Capricorn is feminine, but its 2 outer decans are masculine, or positive. And this is the way this works. And there are 36 decans. And that's what you need to know. And the main power for the age of Aquarius will be the church and Fomalhaut. And actually, both of these ages are one. So you can almost just make this just one big age. The powers will shift within as we change and grow. When we enter fully into Capricorn, the Earth will be at its apex. That's cardinal Earth, the Most High. That's when we will see what we think of in our minds when we think of heaven on earth or paradise. Paradise. It was the time of the Jedi in history. The story of Capricorn, this last decan right here, is the story when Anakin Skywalker walks into the Jedi temple and kills the younglings, the kids. Baby goats are kids. He kills the kids, and it tells this is the story of the lucky ones of the slaughterer. The slaughterer being Anakin. Alright, our Darth Vader, right? Our invader, which is funny because, see if I can get it to cooperate with me. His name is Darth. Darth is father, which is Vader. Father means Vader, and that was actually Jupiter here, the emperor, the illuminated one. Right? That's what all this was about. And that this is when it began. And we've been in this Star Wars battle since the last time the spring equinox rose in Capricorn. The younglings fell, and then begins, this is the whole story of Star Wars as we go around. And then we're going to see the destruction and fall of everything. And then the attempt to revive. That's why they call it the revived Roman Empire, right? It started out as patriarchal, first deacon, matriarchal, second deacon, back, revived patriarchal, third deacon. That's why you're seeing the feminine push now, because to get into Aquarius, it's negative energy, feminine. But you have to have both. You have to have the positive Piscean third decan and the negative feminine Aquarian first decan. And they're mixed right now. Males are becoming females, females are becoming males. This literally happens every time we change a decan. It's not that uncommon. Just like Mercury, just like retrogrades, they are not that uncommon. More people have retrogrades than not, which means we have more problems than not. Saturn goes retrograde all the time. So we have people with that awful, abusive, really unfortunate childhood. The first 30 years of their life it's almost a disaster, impossible to overcome. But it is more common than you think. You would know. I want everybody to learn astrology, alchemy, Learn to read it from the religious book that you have. If you're from Islam and you've read the Quran, it does the same thing the Bible does. You have a better shot. If you speak Arabic, oh my goodness, you have a better shot at this. But you must be willing to look at it with an alchemical, unprejudiced mindset. You can't go into it, when people want to prove the Bible is true, they're going into it with the mindset to do just that. So they're going to skip over information that doesn't agree with their theory, their storyline that they're presenting. But if you can take all the information, and it has to fit somewhere. It has to fit somewhere. And it has to fit somewhere in here. This is the end all, the be all of everything. Here's our really bad guy. Polaris being the star that does not move. Actually, it does. We have one at the bottom as well. That one's hard to get to. The Western tradition, I agree, they've harvested these symbols from all over the world. This is what they did to put the body of Osiris back together. Pieces and pieces. And they've taken it from all the symbolism. But what we really need, they actually hit it. What we really need to know is the symbols they did not give us. The ones we didn't get. Like the difference between the Arabic and the Western traditions. We don't get, you have to go through them, and then they don't give us crap in the Egyptian. It's all bogus. Just fragments. And you have to piece it together yourself. Oh, we got the Aquarius meteor showers coming up. And remember, the stone that comes from heaven comes from Aquarius.